Segesta was one of the main cities of the Elymi, along with Eryx and Entella. The Elymi were one of the three original populations of Sicily. Segesta is in the northwest of Sicily, near Calatafimi and Trapani. It is said by some that Segesta was the goddess of the harvest, but this story is disputed. The city ruins are on Monte Bàrbaro, some 300 metres above sea level. It is defended by steep slopes and fortified walls. Monte Bàrbaro looks down on the valley in the direction of the Gulf of Castellamare. The dramatic backdrop of Segesta is highly prized by the arts. The opening credits of the movie Chaos was filmed in Segesta. The temple at Segesta was the background to a scene in the film Godfather 3. Harrison Ford is due to film an Indiana Jones movie at Segesta in 2021. Each summer, classical Greek dramas are performed in the ancient amphitheatre in Segesta as part of the Calatafimi Segesta Festival. To learn more about La Bella Sicilia, consider subscribing. There is some evidence that the site of Segesta's theatre on Monte Bàrbaro was inhabited in the Neolithic and the Bronze Age. The origin of the peoples of Segesta is both varied and hotly disputed. The Greeks believed Segesta was founded by a band of Trojans, Elymi, fleeing from their destroyed city. In the same way, Segesta and Rome claim the same heritage of Trojans as recorded in the Iliad and the Aeneid. Thucydides thought the Elymi were a tribe of barbarians in the area of Eryx and Segesta. A separate story states that the Elymi were the founding peoples of Sicily, whereby the Trojans arrived and built two cities, Segesta and Erice. A separate story claims Segesta was founded by Phocidian merchants, which are Greek settlers, including Philostetes, who enjoyed impressive business relations with the people of Elymi. A variation of the Trojan story links Virgil's Aeneid. The city was founded by King Aegisthus or Aegisthus, the Acestes of Virgil, who sailed from Troy with permission a short time before Aeneas. Coins are evidence that this was called Segesta prior to Thucydides, and they bear Greek characters and influences. Segesta had close links with the Greek cities of Sicily and tended to have on-off relationship with the Greeks, more so than other Sicilian cities. By 580 BC, the Segestans had already embarked on a long period of hostility with their traditional enemies Selinus or Selinunte, most likely due to a border dispute. They were supported by Cnidian and Rhodian settlers under Pentathlus, and in this way the Segestans gained an advantage against their rival Selinus. Segesta was in its prime in the 5th century BC, thriving mostly from trade. Diodorus states that in 454 BC, Segesta were in dispute over river Mezarus with Lilybaeans, which is Marsala. This is disputed as Lilybaeans emerged later, and it is more than likely that Segesta was arguing, as usual, with its perennial opponent Selinus or Selinunte. In 426 BC, Segesta exploited the first Athenian invasion of Sicily under Laches and promptly formed an alliance with Athens. As hostilities escalated, Selinunte gained the support of Syracuse, and they pressed their advantage against Segesta by land and by sea. Segesta boasts a well-preserved Doric temple built around 420 BC by apparently an Athenian architect, which is unusual because at the time Segesta had no large Greek population. The temple is apparently unfinished and is often cited as the best Doric construction in Europe, much to the frustration of the Greeks. The people of Segesta sought further support from Agrigento and Carthage, causing the Athenians to send a fleet to Sicily in 416 BC. It is claimed at the time Segesta had greatly exaggerated their wealth to the Athenians. While the original intention of the great Athenian expedition to Sicily in 415 to 413 BC was to support Segesta, things quickly changed. On arriving in Sicily, Dionysius instead decided to march on Selinunte, Selinus, but instead the Athenians decided to attack Syracuse. Now Syracuse at the time was the capital of Sicily. Segesta and Selinus would have to wait until later, until the larger disputes had been resolved. In 415 BC, the Athenian fleet took the coastal town of Hyccara near Segesta and handed it over to Segesta to manage. On a number of occasions, Segesta proved a loyal ally and continued to support the Athenians. The Athenians were eventually defeated by Syracuse or Syracuse, and this left Segesta greatly exposed towards Selinunte. They quickly sent emissaries to Carthage asking for support. Carthage decided to play the long game. They sent a small force of 5,000 Africans and 800 mercenaries from Campania, who proved sufficient to complete the task in 410 BC. The following year, a large invasion force was led by Hannibal Mago and landed in Lilybaeum, Marsala, and proceeded to smash both Selinus and Himera. Carthage now controlled western Sicily. Segesta naturally remained an ally of Carthage. A key factor was that Segesta was on the road, today Autostrada 29, which linked Motia near Marsala, Drepanum in the west of Sicily to Panormus, which is modern-day Palermo. It was the second city of Sicily at the time. During 397 BC, Dionysius I of Syracuse invaded the west of Sicily and held Motia under siege. Segesta remained a loyal ally to Carthage and resisted this invasion. While Dionysius held Segesta under siege, Motia eventually fell. Segesta continued to hold until Himlico arrived with a large contingent of Carthaginians, and soon Dionysius retreated. Agathocles, the tyrant of Syracuse, landed in the west of Sicily in 307 BC and was welcomed as an ally in Segesta. Instead, Agathocles decided that Segesta had not proved sufficiently loyal in his campaign against Carthage and promptly destroyed the city, executed approximately 10,000 citizens, looted the wealth, and sold the women and children into slavery. Furthermore, he renamed the city to Dionysiopolis, the right city, and gave it over to his supporters. In 276 BC, Segesta allied with Pyrrhus of Epirus as he invaded the west of Sicily. They were soon overwhelmed and plundered by the Carthaginians, who took the fabled statue of Diana with them. As the First Punic War broke out in 264 BC, Appius Claudius Caudex attacked unsuccessfully. A popular uprising in Segesta killed the resident garrison of Carthaginian troops and quickly agreed to an alliance with Rome. A Carthaginian force began a siege of Segesta. Gaius Duilius won a naval victory in 260 BC and broke the Carthaginian siege. Segestan citizens and their apparent Trojan ancestry were highly prized by the Romans. Thus, Segesta avoided tax burdens the Romans typically demanded from a dependent city. Some would say this was due to the twinned Roman heritage that Segesta shared with Rome. Others would merely say that the nearby port proved a great strategic benefit to the Romans. Nonetheless, Segesta's fortunes were already in decline. As Carthage was destroyed, Scipio Africanus returned the statue of Diana back to the city of Segesta. Segesta and its port near Castellamare del Golfo was the focus of particular fury in the Second Servile War, a slave uprising in 102 BC. Segesta had by now lost its apparent independence, although its inhabitants continued to be Latin citizens. While the Romans had helped rebuild Segesta, it was again destroyed by the Vandals in the 5th century AD. The savage attacks of the Saracens in 900 AD caused the residents of Segesta again to flee. Segesta was renamed to Calatafimi, which was Berber Castle. Recent archaeological activity have found evidence of a Muslim community in the Norman period. Remains of a Muslim necropolis and the oldest known mosque in Sicily from the 12th century can be found next to a Norman castle. It is understood that the new Christian rulers in the 13th century destroyed the mosque. Swabians, a Germanic people, later enlarged the Norman castle and created the nearby town of Calatafimi. Segesta was finally abandoned, probably for nearby Erice, in the latter part of the 13th century, after a final bloody encounter. Calatafimi survived as an Arabic city and remained a royal property until the Aragonese age. In 1336, Calatafimi was a stronghold of William of Aragon and eventually passed down to the Dukes of Alba. Calatafimi had its moment of fame during the Risorgimento, the reunification of Italy, as there was a battle here between Garibaldi and the Bourbon soldiers. Garibaldi prevailed, and Calatafimi promptly joined the Kingdom of Italy in 1861.